Hello, this is Hunter and Blueberry's Go Home video. This is a lot of what I worked on with them together. So for the first 2 weeks I worked with them separately, and then for the last week I worked with them together while still doing some separate sessions. So here we have a really good play stay for both of them while we're watching TV. There's one other person on the couch, but that person hasn't worked with them, so as you can see, Blueberry breaks place. I give her a stim, but the person on the couch does nothing because she just does not work with my dogs, so they don't consider her to be the one that will correct them if they break their place. And I put a really super yummy looking chicken on the table. Neither of them are interested in it because they're on place and they're doing their obedience. Blueberry does scratch a lot at the collar, even when it's not on. I would watch in case she gets any sores on her neck. Some dogs are allergic to the regular contact points. Most dogs are not. And I haven't seen any redness on her neck from the collar. But I would just keep an eye out on that. If she does need different contact points, they do sell titanium contact points, and I can get those for you. Just let me know, but it hasn't been a problem thus far. She just really likes to scratch at it. But I've worked hard on making sure that she knows that scratching the e-collar does not turn the stem off, nor take the collar off. Because as soon as she thinks that the scratching turns the stem off, then she'll never ever stop scratching. So hopefully with time she will stop scratching at it. But especially if you stim her in correction for breaking a obedience command, do not turn the stem off if she starts scratching at it. Just hold it, repeat the command, and then only when she complies with the command, turn off the stem. Here I'm just being silly and putting things on the floor, putting food on the floor. They know they can't break their place for it. I did not leave the room for this one just because it was such a high value temptation. But I did get up and I walked around and I went back and got chips and left the chicken on the counter, and then got up and I think I got, these treats that I put on the table. And I do reward them periodically for making good choices. Otherwise, what's the point of staying on place in their mind, you know? They both did really, really well at this. And if I really wanted to, I could set up a Ring camera here, or any, live feed camera you have, and then leave the room, but then stem them when they broke their place or went for the food. Here we have door manners coming in. I know you can't see it. But the door is open, and then as I say free, they are allowed to come inside. And this is still a little bit of a ruckus with both of them, but it's a lot better than the first week, because they both offer sits as soon as I touch that door handle. And then I free them too. And it's a little bit of a little hectic, but
Kennel.
Much more controlled.
Kennel. Yeah, that's great.
And
Thank
then
you.
This was just silly.
Blueberry. Or Hunter.
Kennel. Going in the same time.
Yeah? Hunter.
I mean, they
Kennel.
were doing the command, so. This is them actually doing their kennel command.
Hunter.
They've
Kennel.
gotten really used to getting just a small treat when they go in their kennel. But as they get more proficient at it, you can sometimes give them a
Blueberry.
treat, sometimes
Kennel.
not give them a treat, and they should still be just as happy to go in their
Good
kennel when you ask.
girl. He's a good girl.
This is a Ring camera view of controlled exit of the kennel, so they have to wait until I free them to come out of their kennel. Otherwise, I just shut the kennel door again, and they do not get to come out. And they're both pretty good at this. Here I have both of them on the same place bed. So I don't recommend this for long periods of time, but I wanted to see how well they would do, and I figured they'd do very well at it because they're very good separately at the place command, but this is good if you have limited space, or if you just want them in the same area and you have one big cot for them to be on. So while they're doing this is a really long place stay. But I'm making coffee and I'm cleaning the kitchen and doing all these things, and I'm really not paying that much attention to them, but I have the e-collar remote on me so that if one of them were to break, I could stem them as soon as their foot touches the ground, and then repeat the command place and make sure they get back on it. So here I tempted them with cheese on the floor. Hunter broke, which doesn't surprise me too much. So I blocked him from getting it, stemmed him, and then he fixed himself and put himself back on place. They both relaxed, which is great. I love that. If I wanted to, I would go back and reward them each for laying down, even though I didn't ask them to do that. Oh, I actually do go back and reward them for that. Just to kind of capture that good behavior that I'm looking for on the place bed. And also rewarding that they did not go for the food on the floor. And here you get to see my messy counter. That's why I'm cleaning the kitchen. But you can see I walk out of the room. They can't see me anymore. They stay on that place bed. And when I'm treating them on the place bed, I'm being very careful that Hunter gets his and Blueberry gets hers. Because I don't want Blueberry to feel as though she needs to protect her food from being eaten by Hunter. I need to be the one to advocate that she gets her treat and he gets his. And you did see his paws come off the bed, so I stemmed him and repeated the command, and he fixed himself quite readily. Still making coffee. And I do have food on the counter, and I do mess around with some food, and I leave the room, actually, quite a few times, because I'm putting things from the counter into other rooms. And they actually didn't break their place stay at any point during that. So this would be a great command if you're cooking dinner, or if you have someone over and you don't want your dogs all over them, or even if somebody rings the doorbell, if you could send them to their place and then let the person in and then release the dogs to say hi, so they're not, jumping off of them as they try to come in the door, something like that. This is a time lapse. You can see I'm taunting them with more distractions, more toys. I actually pour French fries on the floor. Turkey feather, just to see if that would get one of them to break. None of that worked. They stayed on super well, so they got big rewards after I released them from their place bed.
Good sit.
And actually, the reason I released them so early from it is because they started getting a little grumbly with each other.
Sit.
Because they were in each other's personal space for just a little bit too long, I believe. So I released them from that and then gave them their separate spaces. Because it can be hard to be stuck in one place with your sibling for a long period of time. Here's our last walk together. Hunter is on a prong collar. Blueberry's on a flat collar. She's on her normal collar. I don't use the e-collar for walking. I prefer to use leash pressure and leash communication, which we'll go over during the go home lesson.
No. Heel.
But you'll see that
Heel.
one of them typically forges ahead. And so I do
Heel.
give a leash correction for that, which is just a really quick pop and release with the leash, whether it's on the prong or the flat collar. And you can see they don't
No.
pay as
Heel.
much attention to me when they're both on the walk with each other as well. So this does take a little bit more watching really closely and maneuvering and keeping your hand on the same part of the leash on both of them, so that when you do the pop and release, you can correct the correct dog and not both dogs at the same time.
Heel.
So when I turn around, that's me saying, oh, nope, you guys are going too far forward, we're going to turn around. Because no dog wants to go back where they've already been. So we turn around, and then as soon as they're within the heel again, then we turn back around to where we haven't been. And that's their reward, is getting to go forward. I did work with them on both sides of me, so either one of them can go on the right side. So if you do find that it is a little too difficult to correct them with one hand, which it was even a little bit difficult for me, so I would totally understand, you can have one on one side and one on the other side. And they should be comfortable with that, because I worked them on both sides, but I tried to keep them both on the left side, because you guys preferred that they be on the same side.
Good heel. Blueberry, come on. Sit. Sit. Thank you.
Here I believe a car drives past, and he actually stops and tries to talk to me. And Blueberry
Wait,
kind of has a
they're training.
fascination with cars. And so they both break,
Yeah,
because I was not
thank you.
prepared for this guy to stop and try to
No,
talk
sit.
to me. And I don't blame them for breaking. But then they go right back into a sit when I ask.
Free.
And the guy drives away. He said,
Heel.
they're very pretty dogs, and he likes that their eyes are different colors. And I said, yeah, it's cute. I just wanted to show the whole walk so that you can hear when I say the word heel, and you can see when I correct them, and you can see when I turn around, versus just giving them a leash pop. But I think turning around is far more better at communicating to them than a leash pop, because these dogs are used to pulling. They don't really care if the leash is tight. But I've made it so that the leash pop tells them, hey, you need to back up a little bit, or hey, you need to come forward a little bit, or, you know, to the right or to the left, whatever I'm asking of them.
Heel.
I didn't work for very long with them on walking together, only for the last week, like I said earlier,
Good sit.
because I wanted
Good
to
boys.
make sure that they
Girl. Boy
both
and girl.
fully understood healing before I tried to add them together, because they, as you know, rile each other up,
Thank you.
and they feed off of each other, and Blueberry
No,
especially
sit.
feeds off of Hunter. So I wanted a strong understanding first before I asked them to do it together. But the more that you walk them
Heel.
together, the more they will get used to it.
Yes.
And you can see the leashes are loose in my hand. I like to point that out, because a loose leash communicates to the dog that this is correct, and this is the correct spot for them to be in. And a tight leash means no, and something needs to be fixed.
Sit. Yes, good sits. Good puppies. Free. Heel.
They did have some trouble focusing while we were working outside, but I did get both of them into downs, so they're in a downs day. I do have the e-collar remote on me in case either of them were to break,
Down.
which I believe Hunter does here in a second.
Down.
He sits, which
Hunter,
isn't the
down.
worst, but I
No.
correct him
Down.
and put him back into that down.
Thank you. Good girl, Blueberry.
They both did very well. I wish I could have had more time with them to work on more specific problems and getting Blueberry even more comfortable with obedience, but I'm sure as you work with them, those will get better. Here's Mr. Hunter being silly and dumping himself in the water basin. I'm glad I caught it on video. It was very cute. He was pulling off after playing fetch for a while. Thank you so much for bringing them to me.